All right, I'm gonna make a tutorial on the hip hinge because it's a complex, complicated move that most people don't understand, and it causes them lower back pain and a lot of dysfunction that causes pain. So I wanna make an in-depth video on how to properly perform that, what you're using, and what to feel. First things first, think of squat as down and up, and then think of hip hinge as a slingshot, where it's back and forth. Now when we do this, we always start from the ground up, focusing on the feet, then the knees, then the hips, then the brace, then the lats, then the upper back, then the neck. And what a hip hinge looks like, if we're doing it properly, is setting, back, push back. Now a lot of hypermobile people are going to do this, or they're going to do this. And the thing with the hip hinge is understanding how to keep integrity of the spine stacked over the pelvis. Meaning, if this is my hips and this is my spine, we want it to move in sync. In sync, not out of sync where the spine is bending over the hips. So we're trying to maintain a neutral spine while doing the hip hinge. Now when we do this, I'm gonna start from the ground up and break it down so you can go step by step. When we start, we're gonna have our feet shoulder width apart, stacked underneath our hips. We're going to grab the ground like a gecko, not clawing, but think of Spider-Man, but with your feet on the ground. You're gonna have equal tension, equal pressure on the bottom of your feet, meaning if I do this, I can feel there's more pressure on the bottom of my right. If I do this, I can feel more pressure on my left. If I do this, I can feel more on my heels. If I do this, I can feel more on my toes. We want it centered and equal, okay? So that's the feet. Then from here, what I want you to try to do is if I do this, do you kind of see that motion? This is where the knees out cue comes into play with people, is I'm doing this, but what I'm doing is I'm spreading my feet this way to activate the glute medius to stabilize my hips laterally from going like this. So we're gonna go, huh? And so now we have equal tension on the bottom of our feet, pressing our toe down, pushing our feet out to create tension in the side glutes, okay? You with me? You're with me. Now, from here, a lot of people are gonna be in an anterior pelvic tilt, meaning they're gonna be right here and they're gonna be like this. I want you to stand up tall, pull the hips up, and then go back into a slight bend. So now we're sitting right here and we have our hips up neutral. Then you're gonna breathe into your stomach, brace, and hold that. So now we have our brace, we have tension in the glutes, we have equal tension on the bottom of our feet. The next part is pulling the lats down and getting our back tight. So we wanna get this tight right here and this tight. So it's, huh, And now we're holding our brace. The trick here though, is that when you get your brace, you're gonna wanna do this. And then when you get your lats tight, you're gonna wanna do this. So the tricky part is maintaining a brace while engaging the lat. And you have to play with it and feel it. So again, lats, brace, equal tension on the bottom of the feet, glutes active. Pack the head back. Now, when I go back, I'm not gonna go down. I'm gonna push my butt away from my big toes, creating a stretch right here, and then all through the back of the knees while holding this brace. And you don't think of how low do you go, you think of how far can you push back to get a stretch. If you're having difficulty feeling the stretch, grab onto a pole, imagine this is a pole, grab onto this and push back as far as you can until you get that feeling right here. When you get that feeling, that's what you want to replicate when you're doing your RDL, getting a stretch here. But you don't want to focus so much on pushing back that you forget to activate the glute medius and keep that tension on the feet going this way. When I say feet this way, I'm literally doing this, my feet, one right foot, left foot. I'm doing this, but I'm actually not moving them because they're rooted. But I'm doing this and moving from the glutes to stabilize. That's a really big part. Now when you start the hip hinge, you want to make sure that your descent isn't going from brace to extension or brace into flexion. Flexion, spine goes like this, okay? Extension, spine goes like this. We want to have the spine perfectly neutral while we're doing this. Another thing is people will counterbalance and they'll go, keep your chin tucked and your head neutral. That's gonna keep your thoracic spine in a neutral state, which is gonna prevent you from overloading your back. A good thing to practice with the lat activation, if you're struggling, imagine this is a pole I have bands around my wrist. I'm gonna pull back, stand tall, and do that while engaging. And you'll feel the bands want to pull you out of position. Your job is to hold tension in the lats, push back. The biggest thing though, is if you feel it in your lower back when you're doing your hip hinges, you're most likely either hyperextending or going into flexion. And it's challenging as someone who's hypermobile because you have these excessive ranges of motion, and your job is to find the neutral, hold that stacked, and then go like this. Remember, we're moving our hips with our spine as one unit, not separate. I hope this video is helpful. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Go give this a try. Leave a comment. I'd love to know what you'd like to see next. And I hope you have a lovely day.